Okay, time for another electronics one chat thing tonight, and sorry, it's a terrible introduction. I'm going to talk very briefly about switches. I've got so many things I want to talk about in this channel, so we've got to get the really basic things out of, and I wanted to get this one out of the way. So last time we talked about buttons. I don't even know where my button model went. But what's this model? That's not the button model. The button model is around. Actually, here it is. So here's my button model, and it's got the two little buttons on it. So we were talking about buttons and why this doesn't work anymore. But before we go into actually getting this to work the way that I want it to work, and continuing on my pointless diode thing, we're going to talk a little bit about switches. So switches are just like buttons, except they stay on in one position. So this is a particular type of switch. So this is a double throw switch. So they come in two types, or many types, but they could be single throw or double throw. And a single throw just means that they're either on or off, and a double throw means that there's two different ways they can be on. So in this case here, I've drawn a little diagram, which is not a very good diagram. So this is meant to be my picture of this thing enlarged. So these are the legs. So it's not, it's not very artistic. It's very hard to draw things with a felt tip pen and a dinky little ruler, which I've gone and lost. Where'd my dinky little ruler go? Here it is. It says, in an emergency, dial 111. That only counts if you're in New Zealand. But anyway, the point here is, this is what it looks like, and this is the bit at the top. And so it's kind of like got a bit of metal, and it connects. So if it's on this side, the bit of metal is crossing over the two pins on this side here. So if the little thing is pushed to this side, then these two pins are connected. And then if you move this one across, so my little effort with the blue pen, but then I have, oh my goodness, what did I do with my awesome little red felt tip pen? Well, that was terrible. And there's my pen, my scissors. Well, that would have been cool, because I just found that I have a red felt tip pen, but I don't anymore. Then, well, this would move, so it would go from being activating green. So that's in green mode, and then I would shift it over to the other side, which will be in red. So I'm going to colour that one in. So they kind of have a bit in the middle. They don't actually on this thing here, but you can imagine the bit of metal that I'm talking about. It's actually a bit larger inside. So when you move it over this side, it covers these two bits of these two pins, and so these two pins are connected. And so then you can use it in place of a button. We'll try quickly to do this. We might as well. We've got the time. So we just put the power thing back on, and take this little button out. So here are the two wires, and right now they're not linked. So this is going down to negative through here, and the button was connecting these two wires together. So if with any luck, we can just put the switch in. Well, we can't. So there, we've now got this wire connected to this leg, and that wire connected to the other leg. So it's connected to the outside legs here. And so they'll never actually be connected. So there's no way that I can turn. So I can turn this light. I can turn both those lights on with that one, but I can't turn the lights on with this yet. So I have to move this wire here. That one there, or that one of these, so that they're just one more little line across. So I just did a Electronics Day thing. So if you're here from the Electronics Day I just did recently, I'm doing the simple for you guys. So, and if you haven't done that, or you're an older person and you're wondering why I'm going through quite straightforward things, it's just because I want to cover everybody, and I want to just make sure that I've gone over and people can look back and remember exactly how things work. So here we go, this little switch is now like that. So now if I click it over to there, it turns off, and then it turns on, and then it turns off, and then it turns on. And that's pretty much switches, right? I mean, they look a lot different, and they come in many different forms. And of course, well, I do have a whole box of these. Hold on. Sitting on my desk, of course, I have a big, huge box of these kind of switches. So these are giant switches. These ones are nice. They work kind of the same way, but they look like this, and they're very satisfying to turn on and off. There's a few other ones at the bottom. These ones you can't fit in a breadboard, but they are cute. So I think one of these is actually a single throw. I don't know which. No, I think these are all double throw. So they do actually connect. But these ones are cool because they have a little light that comes on when they've turned them on one way. So that's nice. But anyway, there are many different types of switches, and I've got many. Oh, here's another one. I think I showed this one. Oh, sorry, I'm making the lights go off again. For the button section, but I think this is... Oh, maybe this is actually a... No, this is a switch. I think it actually is clicking when you push it in. So they can look like switches too, but when you push it in, might be. There are ones that look like that and they switch. So, oh, and there's another one. So there's this one here as well. But that's a momentary switch, so that's actually a button. So that's not really a switch. It depends how you look at things. But anyway, let's finish it there for that one. But I wanted to come back to this thing here. So when I was a kid, and so if you come to the electronics thing I did recently, and you're a kid, then you already have known all about this, but I'm just going to go through it again so that you can refresh yourself on how I did it, and how you did it, and how anyone else can do it. But when I was a kid, and now in my place that I live in now, there's a hall passage or some stairs, and then you have a light switch at the one end of this thing, so either at the bottom of your stairs or at one end of the passage, and then there's another light switch at the other end of the passage, and both light switches control the same light, except so if you swap the position of one light, it turns the light on or it turns the light off. And if you turn the light on in one, then you can go over to the other one and you can turn it off again. And they usually follow, when I was a kid this fascinated me, but I kind of realized that they follow a pattern, which is they'll either be that if both switches are pressed up, for example, then the light will be on, and if they're pressed down, both of them are pressed down, the light will also be on. But if they're different, the light will be off. So if one was up and one was down, and one was down and one was up, the light would be off. It could be the other way around. It depends, I guess. I don't actually know how my one is at the moment. I think when I was a kid it was if they were different, the light was off. So how can you actually wire that up? And it fascinated me as a kid. It's like I didn't understand it, because you have a switch and you turn it on and the light goes on, and then you turn it off and then the light goes off. So how can you get the other one to turn the light back on, or how can you get the one that when another light to turn another light off when it's already on? But the answer is when you think about double throw switches, so this kind of switch here. So I'm going to put this one on just for the demonstration so that people believe me and understand what I'm talking about. So now the light comes on. So sorry, there's a lot of wires here. And it's red and you can't really see the switches. So in this case here, I've wired it up so that if the switch is facing the same way, facing different ways, the light comes on. So if I turn this one off, turn that one that way, the light goes off. But if I turn that one that way, the light goes on. So then if I turn that one, the light goes off. So in this case, they're both going this direction and the light's off. And if I do that, they're both going that direction and the light's off. But if they're different, like that, so one's that way, the light's on. And one's that way and the other one's that way, the light's also on. So just quickly before we finish it off, how do you wire this up? You can pause the video and think about it. It's a good little challenge, I think, to get. So it doesn't quite work. So that's actually this we'll just go back to this. This is the symbol, kind of like the symbol you would use in a circuit diagram, and it's just the wire connected up to two different other wires. So depending on which way the switch is going, will determine which way the current flows through the circuit. So the final circuit, so to get this kind of effect, you can use a circuit that looks a little bit like this. I'll put it upside down, good work. So this is the positive voltage. This will be the positive terminal on your battery, for example, or it could be the plus on this thing here, so from the plus rail. So you can see here that I've actually put that resistor into the positive rail on this kind of breadboard. and then it goes into here. So here's one switch and here's the other switch, and all they're doing is they're both linked by the 2 different wires. So to get it for the current to flow, if the switches are pointed, if this switch is pointed to this arrow, to this wire, and that switch is also pointed to that wire, or is connected to that wire, then the current will flow through there. So the middle pins. So where's my little example one gone? Good work, I've lost it. Where was the other one? I'm going to have to put. Oh, that's right. I put it on here. So in this case here, the only thing I've done is that the middle pin is the one that is common to everybody. So this is the middle pin here. It's connected to the LED. So this is the one that's connected to the LED on one side, and on the other one, so we're moving over to the other one here. On the other one, it's connected to the negative supply. So all that we're doing is we're using the outside pins to connect to the middle pin. So the 2 middle pins, what I mean is there are 2 switches, and what we're trying to do is trying to connect the middle pin of one switch to the middle pin of the other switch. And we do that by going via the outside pins. So if we've connected the switch to one pin, and that pin goes to this wire here, and then the other one's connected also to that wire, then we'll get a current. And if we flip them so that, great, I had to use the same color. There's no blue. Oh, there is blue. Alright. So if we switch it around, so don't worry about the arrows. I don't think it makes it slightly confusing, but the arrow is not determining which way the current is flowing. So if we switch it this way, so that they're both connected to this wire, then the current also flows. But if we, so I'm going to use a black felt tip pen, if the switch is connected to this wire, but this switch is connected to that wire, then, and you ignore these things. Where's my twink gone? I actually had some twink sitting on the floor. Some whiteout, or whatever you call it. So now we don't have that, then you'll find that we don't have a connection, and so there's no current flowing through the circuit. And the same thing would happen if you went the other way, and then you also wouldn't have a current flowing through the circuit. So that's how it works, and it's pretty straightforward. But for some reason I thought that was kind of I couldn't understand that when I was a kid. So I thought I'd talk about it now, and I think it was kind of cool as an adult because it's very straightforward, and that's that. So I hope you found that all kind of interesting, and next time we're going to get on to some more advanced stuff. And in fact, I've got a whole bunch of cool things coming up. And if you did come to, though I've probably gone and misplaced it. Alright, I think this is it. So, oh, the light's going to, sorry, I'm just knocking the power thing off all the time. It's not the camera. So if you did come to my electronics thing,